There is a rumor that has circulated across the internet for years. It claims that deep inside the Vatican archives, hidden away from the public, lies a suppressed biblical manuscript, a text that accidentally, but undeniably, predicts the coming of the prophet Muhammad by name. The rumor suggests that the Church discovered this scandalous truth and buried it to protect Christian theology. It is a thrilling story. It has generated millions of views, sparked fierce debates, and caused deep anxiety among believers. But before we explore the actual ancient texts, we need to address the Vatican archives. The Vatican Apostolic Archives contain over 53 miles of shelving, holding documents dating back to the 8th century. But here is the historical reality. There is no suppressed manuscript. There is no hidden scandal. No biblical scholar, secular or religious, has ever found a single ancient Bible predicting Muhammad by name in the Vatican or anywhere else. But dismissing the internet rumor does not dismiss the actual 1,400-year-old theological debate, because while there is no Vatican cover-up, there are specific verses in the Bible that Islamic scholars have pointed to for centuries, arguing they describe the Prophet Muhammad. This is not about which religion is right. This is a forensic look at the ancient languages, the manuscript evidence, and what the texts actually say. The most famous claim centers on the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 16. In this passage, Jesus is speaking to his disciples during the Last Supper. He tells them he is leaving, but promises to send someone after him. In English, it reads, "And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever." The Greek word used here for advocate is Parakletos. It translates to comforter, helper, or advocate. In mainstream Christian theology, this refers to the Holy Spirit, which arrives shortly after in the book of Acts. But in the 20th century, prominent Islamic apologists like Ahmad popularized a different theory. They argued that the original Greek word Jesus used was not Parakletos. They claimed the original word was Periklutos. In Greek, Periklutos means the praised one, or the glorious one. And the literal Arabic translation of the praised one is Ahmad, which is another name for Muhammad in the Quran. If the original word was Periklutos, then Jesus was not promising the Holy Spirit. He was explicitly naming the prophet Muhammad. It is a brilliant linguistic argument, but it faces one insurmountable problem: the physical evidence. We do not have to guess what the original Greek text said. Today, we possess over 5,800 Greek manuscripts of the New Testament. We have Papyrus 66, dating to around 200 AD. We have the Codex Sinaiticus and the Codex Vaticanus, dating to the 4th century. Every single one of these 5,800 manuscripts reads Parakletos. Not one manuscript, not one fragment, not one scrap of papyrus from the ancient world reads Periklutos. Mainstream textual critics, including secular and atheist scholars like Dr. Bart Ehrman, universally agree that Parakletos is the original reading. The Periklutos theory, while popular in modern apologetics, has zero manuscript support in the historical record. The second major claim shifts from the New Testament to the Hebrew Bible. In Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18, God speaks to Moses and says, "I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth." Islamic scholars argue this perfectly describes Muhammad. They point out that Muhammad was like Moses in ways Jesus was not. Both Moses and Muhammad were military leaders. Both brought a new legal code, both married and had children, and both died natural deaths. Furthermore, they argue that "from among their brothers" refers to the Ishmaelites, the brothers of the Israelites, from whom Muhammad descended. But context is everything in ancient literature. When mainstream biblical scholars and Jewish rabbis read this text, they look at the surrounding verses. Just 3 verses earlier, in Deuteronomy 17:15, the text says, "The Israelites must appoint a king from among your own brothers," and explicitly forbids appointing a foreigner. In the Hebrew context of Deuteronomy, brothers consistently means fellow Israelites, not Ishmaelites. Therefore, Jewish and Christian scholars interpret this verse as referring to the line of Israelite prophets, or ultimately to Jesus, not to a prophet from outside the covenant. The third claim is perhaps the most viral on social media today. It comes from the Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 16. In the King James Version, the woman is describing her beloved and says, "His mouth is most sweet. Yea, he is wholly lovely." The Hebrew phrase translated as wholly lovely or altogether lovely is machmadim. Apologists point out that the first few letters of machmadim spell out MHMD and claim it is a direct phonetic prophecy of the name Muhammad. But this requires ignoring how the Hebrew language actually works. Machmadim is not a proper name. It is a plural noun derived from the Hebrew root shamad, which simply means to desire or to take pleasure in. The im at the end is a standard Hebrew plural suffix. This exact word appears 13 times in the Hebrew Bible, always meaning desirable things or precious. To claim it is a hidden name, is like looking at the English word acceptable and claiming it is a hidden prophecy about a man named Accept. Linguists universally reject this as a misunderstanding of Hebrew morphology. So, where does this leave us? We have a 1,400-year history of two massive faiths, looking at the same ancient texts and seeing completely different reflections. Islamic scholars look at the Bible and see the outline of their prophet, seeking validation in the scriptures of the people of the book. Christian and Jewish scholars look at the exact same words and see the unfolding of their own distinct covenants. The desire to find our own truth, validated in the holy books of others, is a deeply human impulse. It is why the rumor of a Vatican scandal spreads so easily. We want the mystery. We want the hidden connection. We want the ancient ink to bridge the divide between us. But the actual manuscript evidence tells a different story. It tells us that the texts have not been secretly altered to hide Muhammad, nor have they been miraculously changed to hide Jesus. The 5,800 Greek manuscripts and the ancient Hebrew scrolls say exactly what they have always said. The real miracle is not a hidden code or a suppressed Vatican scroll. The real miracle is that these ancient, fragile documents survived the collapse of empires, the burning of libraries, and the relentless march of time, allowing us to read them, debate them, and search for meaning in them today. The texts are not hiding anything. They are simply waiting for us to read them honestly.